Hear now these things and understand them, ye servants of the Lord. Behold, the word of the Lord, receive it. Believe not the gods of whom the Lord spake. Behold, the plagues draw nigh, and are not slack. As when a woman with child in the 9th month bringeth forth her son, with 2 or 3 hours of her birth, great pains compass her womb. Which pains, when the child cometh forth, they slack not a moment. Even so, shall not the plagues be slack to come upon the earth? And the world shall mourn, and sorrows shall come upon it on every side. And it shall come to pass afterward that I will pour out my spirit upon all flesh, and your sons and your daughters shall prophesy. Your old men shall dream dreams. Your young men shall see visions. And also upon the servants and upon the handmaids in those days will I pour out my spirit. And I will show wonders in the heavens and in the earth, blood and fire and pillars of smoke. The sun shall be turned into darkness, and the moon into blood, before the great and the terrible day of Yahweh come. And it shall come to pass that whosoever shall call on the name of Yahweh shall be delivered. For in Mount Zion and in Jerusalem shall be deliverance, as Yahweh hath said, and in the remnant whom Yahweh shall call. And I saw heaven opened, and behold, a white horse, and he that sat upon him was called Faithful and True, and in righteousness he doth judge and make war. His eyes were as a flame of fire, and on his head were many crowns, and he had a name written that no man knew but he himself. And he was clothed with a vesture dipped in blood, and his name is called the Word of God. And the armies which were in heaven followed him upon white horses, clothed in fine linen, white and clean. And out of his mouth goeth a sharp sword, that with it he should smite the nations, and he shall rule them with a rod of iron. And he treadeth the winepress of the fierceness and wrath of Almighty God. And he hath on his vesture and on his thigh a name written, King of Kings and Lord of Lords.
Talk about this stuff. I just don't. I just saw one of my favorite content creators on YouTube, Bailey Sarian. She posted a video last night, distraught over what's happening in the United States, rightfully so, along with everybody else. Insurance is a scam. Our government's a scam. Our children are being kidnapped and done with however they see fit. We are not safe. We cannot live. We have to depend on the 1% to give us breadcrumbs when we go to work. We kill ourselves. We can't afford groceries. We can't afford housing. I live with my parents because I can't afford to be out on my own. Let's just be real about it. I can't afford groceries if I did. I can't afford electric bills. I saw a post yesterday about Alabama Power. People over there are having to pay $1,200 for their power bills. Why? There will be no Social Security by the time I get to the age of retirement. But yet I'm putting into it every year, almost $2,000 just last year, when I didn't even make barely $30,000 last year. Poverty line for one single is $15,000. I'm sorry. That is below poverty. That's below poverty. $30,000 in a year, that's poverty. The way everything else is so expensive. But I say let it burn. Let it all burn.
Look, y'all, I don't mean to get on here and be all sentimental and stuff. Yeah, I know usually that's not what I get on here for. But it's like lately, I've been having real just deep feelings of nostalgia. I don't know if anybody else has been feeling the same way, but it's just like I keep thinking back on all the past years and how fun and great they all were, and just how much different life was a few years ago. It's like you have to constantly come to the acceptance and the realization that the world that we knew before 2020 is never coming back. The world is changed as we know it, and this is it. And from this point on, it's only going to change more. 2020 was really something that you could call a paradigm shift. It was an event that changed time forever. And I'm telling you, it's just like a deep feeling on the inside of knowing that things are finna get a lot worse. They're finna get a lot more intense. They're finna get a lot crazier. And there is no going back. This is it.
Cuba has fallen. That's the news that I am delivering to you today. It has been 15 days since the blockade had begun, where all oil for the oil-dependent nation has been blocked. And though the Cuban government has tried to ration that as long as they can, the fact is they've just timed out. They ran out of oil. So what we're watching right now is a complete collapse of the Cuban national energy grid. There are pockets of generated power for military bases and bunkers, compounds like that don't help the people. For 95% of the population, over 11 million people are now without power, and that power is not coming back on. Our focus on this series has really been to highlight what's going on for the Cuban people themselves, not just the melodrama that's playing between the Cuban government and the American administration. And over the past 15 days, the Cuban people have been living through what is essentially an apocalyptic scenario, but only kind of on the precipice. As of today, it goes full-blown apocalyptic in Cuba. We're no longer tracking blackout hours. We're now going to start tracking the survival metrics, water access, food spoilage, and of course, cholera outbreaks. This, of course, is because with the massive energy grid failing, sewage system sanitation processes have also shut down. So all throughout the country, there is sewage overflowing on the streets. That means that disease is essentially spreading with no available clean water to 90% of the population right now. That means that the only sources of water that they have, especially without the ability to purify that water or boil it, what you're going to see is massive waves of disease hit over the next couple of weeks, because these take time to incubate. It's going to run through the population of 11 million people in a country 90 miles south of Florida. Now, there was an announcement by the Russians 2 days ago that they were going to be sending humanitarian aid in the form of fuel to Cuba, but yesterday, Russian state-flagged tanker Academic Passion, declaring its cargo humanitarian fuel was actually stopped 12 miles outside of Cuba and boarded by U.S. forces. So as far as anyone breaking the blockade, it looks like there is a kinetic stalemate that's happening right now. But what does that tell the Cuban people is that there's no help coming, there's no oil coming. But because yesterday of a massive fire in the most important oil refinery in Havana, even if oil did come in at this point, say a negotiation was made between the Trump administration and the Castro government in Cuba, the fact is there'd be no way to process any kind of oil. So there's nothing that the people of Cuba can do right now. They've been reliant on a failing infrastructure for too long, and now that it's shut down, and the only way to process oil for fuel, at least the fuel that people use, there's no way out of this. There's no way out of this. The state-run internet and cell service has essentially gone down. The only way of having any kind of communication in Cuba right now is through amateur ham radio operators and whoever was able to smuggle in satellite phones before the blockade actually happened. Now, the U.S. victory of enforcing this blockade has really come at a massive diplomatic cost at a time where diplomatic tensions across the world right now are incredibly fractured. The only support from another nation that the U.S. has had on its actions in Cuba has been Israel. And with Cuba looking like it's going to be America's Gaza in the Western Hemisphere, I doubt there's going to be any support coming from anyone else. Now, the UK has remained silent, but France and Spain have issued statements stating their grave concern. But the UN Security Council meeting is calling to condemn the US actions because it's leading to a mass starvation of people. Now, be assured that if that's what this leads to, which it most assuredly will at this point, because even if you bring in food, there's no way to cook it. Even if you bring in oil, there's no way to process it. This would be the largest humanitarian crisis that is now happening here in living history on the Western Hemisphere. And it's caused by the American government, the American military, and the Western alliance is completely fracturing over the morality of this siege. So to summarize this all kind of on day 15, the countdown is officially over. The national energy grid is down. The island of Cuba has gone dark. The escape routes are closed, and the superpowers are in a kinetic standoff at sea. This is not a good place for the Cuban people to be, and there is essentially nothing going on American mainstream media when it comes to the coverage of this. And I think that that's on purpose. It was easy to seal off Cuba. And it's easy to make sure that nothing's coming out of Cuba. And you are seeing videos all throughout Latin America, all throughout Central and South America about what's going on in Cuba. It's just not in America. You're seeing it in Canada, not in America. This is a media blackout that's being done by our mainstream media. The only voices that are talking about what's happening in Cuba to the Cuban people. They don't care about the government. They don't care about whether they're communist anything like that. I care about people, and the fact that we, as Americans, by our silence, are condoning 11 million people being thrown into an apocalyptic scenario where they're deprived of food, of water, of healthcare, where children are becoming casualties, where the elderly are becoming casualties, anyone with chronic illness are becoming casualties, and soon the young and the healthy will also become casualties as disease runs through the population, as the lack of clean water or the absence of water altogether throws the people into absolute shock and a state of survival. Now, the hope from the U.S. administration is that this kind of pressure that was put on the people would force the population's hand to confront the government. But the fact is the people have been thrown into a state of survival almost immediately. That's how fragile the Cuban system actually was.
Right, guys.
I don't know if I can do this short or not. I just went through an experience with the Lord, and I'm still in the process of it. I just saw God standing before his throne. He's extended his right arm, and then he had a sword in his hand, and he lifted the sword, and he drew it back and pointed it again, and when he did, thousands and thousands of angels came forth. He drew it back and pointed it one more time, and a portal appeared. As the angels all went through that portal headed for Earth, that's all I can tell you for right now. I don't know if I can do that. Call Lord.
Barakatha Yahweh, Barakatha Yahweh Shai, Barakatha Yahweh, Barakatha Yahweh Shai, Barakatha Yahweh, Barakatha Yahweh Shai, Barakatha Yahweh, Bahashem Yahweh Shai, Barakah HaKodash, Kol Thapa Arath, Hawad Wahaloyim, Rawatm Yadla, Allahayanawa, Yahweh, Bahashem Yahweh Shai, Barakah HaKodash. And what I just said in the Lashon Kodash being the ancient Paleo-Hebrew, or in other words, the true biblical Hebrew for holy tongue or language. And what I just said is, all glory, honor, and praises abundantly and continuously to our power, Yahweh, the true name of our Heavenly Father, who the world ignorantly and incorrectly calls God, in the name of his only begotten Son, our Savior, our Messiah, our Deliverer, Yahweh Shai, HaMashiach, who the world ignorantly and incorrectly calls Jesus Christ, in, or in other words, through the Holy Spirit. Double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone. Much peace, love, and respect to the brothers teaching and pushing this truth out the four corners of the earth, to the hopeful elect, the 144,000 and the 1/3, as well as the rest of the elect scattered abroad amongst the heathen nations to the four corners of the earth, east, north, south, and west. To you I say Shalom. This is your brother Ra'ib Tazadakwa coming back at you again, all through the spirit and power of Yahweh, Bahashem Yahweh Shai, with another lesson. Yahweh Ratazah is going to be edifying and encouraging for you, Achim, brothers, and any Achwath, sisters, that may be listening and or watching. All right, and first thing I'm going to say is that this isn't in transit. I am on the road, so if there's any pauses, hesitations, or delays, you know why. And I do appreciate your patience and understanding in that regard, and say Tawada in advance. The next thing I'm going to say is that this is part 18 in an ongoing lesson series, which I have pulled up for you over here. Part 16 is at the top, you can see there. I don't know why it's not showing the thumbnail. There it is. Part 16 is at the top. You go back about a week and you'll find the rest of the lesson series. Some of them are over here under lives. You know, I got 4 of them over here, 4 or 5, one of the 2, something like that. And you can get the whole lesson series as you see fit. We've covered a lot of different clips, a lot of different precept passages, and this is all going into end-time biblical prophecy and the end of the world, and how end-time biblical prophecy is interrupting your normally scheduled programming, which would be a metaphor for your life. It would also be a metaphor for normalcy in the world, not just your life. That would be on a microscopic scale, but also on a macroscopic scale, normalcy with regards to how the world, the whole entire planet operates. Everything related to and with reference to how this world operates, how normal life is on this planet, how what's normal for governments, what's normal for countries, what's normal for cities, what's normal for states, what's normal for for individuals, what's normal for families. All of it. That's your normally scheduled programming. And it's being interrupted due to end time biblical prophecies and the end of the world. And that was just the main point of the first 2 clips. And why did I play 4 clips? I mean, usually I'll just play one, and sometimes I may play multiple ones, but I'm starting to play multiple ones more frequently. And so why did I play 4 clips tonight? And why am I starting to play multiple clips so many times? Because it's so many prophecies being fulfilled. That's why. My how do I want to call it? What I call it? my lesson decider circuitry is overloaded. When I'm trying to figure out, well, what am I going to feature and what am I going to cover and what precepts am I going to get? I'm overloaded. It's so much. I can't decide. I can't make up my mind. I'm like gridlocked. So finally I just say, well, I'll just get it all. Or I'm not, well, that's not even true. There's so much more I could get, but I'll just get like a bunch of them. I'll get a handful of prophecies. I'll get a handful of precepts rather, and I'll open with that, and I'll get a handful of videos, and I'll just play them all, because I can't decide. It's so much, and for real. Okay, usually I can just zero in on one precept passage to open up with, and I can zero in on one video to feature, but I can't do that lately. And it's starting to be a normal thing because we're at the end. Okay, and so I'm gonna. This is I only got 3 opening precept passages, but I could have got 4 or 5, and I almost did. This is another one of the ones I was going to get. I meant to go over here. Okay, to really make the point of what I was saying. I went with the 2nd Ezra 16, but I was also looking at this 2nd Ezra 9, and I was thinking about starting at verse 1 and going down to 6, but we'll just get the point. And let me stay off the rumble strip, but we'll just get the point here in 5 and 6. We'll just get the point here in 5 and 6. And the point is, for like as all that is made in the world hath a beginning and an end. And doesn't it? Everything starts and stops. Starts and finishes. Begins and ends. And the end is manifest. Does something never end and you can't tell? No, I think it's still going on. No, you can tell it's over. Okay? Sometimes you try to hang on to it, Sometimes you try to deny it because it was something you really enjoyed. And you might try to, I think, but really you can tell it's over. Okay, and if you can't tell, just check a few things, and then you'll be able to tell. Even so, the times also of the highest have plain beginnings in wonder and powerful works, and it did, and of course it does, right? But we're focusing it. We're not in the time of the beginning. We're about to have a beginning, though. We're about to have a beginning of the age to come. We're about to have a beginning of the new age, the new world, the new kingdom, which is the kingdom of heaven, right? But that's what's coming next. We're talking about with regards to this time, this age, this kingdom, we're at the end. So let's get to the next part. And endings and effects and signs. Okay? Effects going into what? Actions. What actions? The fulfillment of end time biblical prophecy manifesting the end of the world. We interrupt this program due to end time biblical prophecies and the end of the world. Part 18. Okay? Right, and we've got a bunch of different video clips. Okay, it's like each one of these. Well, when we first started, we kind of sat on the same thing for about 3 or 4 parts because we was getting into the completely manufactured and geo-engineered winter storm for like the first 3 or 4 parts, and then we got into the Third World War with everything going on with that. And you can always get into that because it's popping off, right? It's still got a lot of ramping up to do, but it's nice and cooking. Nice and cooking. Still got some, it still needs to cook quite a bit, but it's good and cooking though. Okay? And then from there, we just been going everywhere. Whatever prophecies just come in and just getting stuff. Playing video clips. Video clip montages. Okay? The end is manifest. Let's get one more to make that plain. Let's go to 1 Peter 4 and 7, one of my favorites. And you can also go a lot of places, man. I usually mention Ezekiel 12, especially verses 23 and 28, and also Revelation, the first chapter, the first 3 verses, and you might as well keep going down to 7, but we got Revelation 19 and 11 on down for that, so we're good. We may still read it though, but let's just get this 1 Peter 4 and 7. but the end of all things. That all is not absolute. Whenever you see words like all and whosoever and words like that, for instance, let's put this one on ice real quick. I'm dealing with this heathen that don't know what speed they want to go. Give me a second here. Babel Koshah, which is the ancient Paleo Hebrew, the true biblical Hebrew for please. Okay, because I got one. Here it is. What time is it? Midnight, quarter after midnight. I got one goofy heathen that don't know what speed they want to go, and it's distracting me. So I got to decide what to do with this heathen, whether to try to pass him or just drop back, and it's hard to decide. So, because when I pass them, they're going to speed up. I know that. That's what they do. I pass them, they speed up, you know. And I slow down, they keep going the same slow speed they're going, you know. So I'm going to try slowing down. I'm going to try just hanging out. Okay, anyway. But the end of all things is at hand. Yeah, right. Let's drive this point home that words like all and whosoever and words like that, you have to determine, and you better make sure you get it right, whether or not those words are absolute and universal, or whether they're bounded by the context and limited. Okay? Because people automatically think they see words like all and whosoever. Oh, whosoever. You know, whosoever, you know. Oh, everybody. Well, not necessarily. You got to accurately determine whether or not it is absolute and universal or not. Sometimes it is, sometimes it's not. This here is not absolute. All right? But let's get an example of another opening precept passage we got, and you should know why we got it. We got it because of the last clip, which is that old man who saw that vision of the Most High, and the Most High mustering the host of heaven, and then dispatching and sending them through a portal to earth. Okay? And that's why we open up with, because we are at the time when the Most High is about to give the command, if he hasn't already, or the order to Yahushua, along with the hosts of heaven, to come to this earth and to destroy the kingdoms of the heathen. Okay, first and foremost, top of that list, numero uno, number one, Esau, Edom. Okay, the so-called white man, generally speaking, and all the kingdoms of all the heathen, and to deliver his elect, which is the 144,000 and the 1/3 of the nation of Israel, the 1/3 of the Israelites here in America, Babylon the Great, and part of that 1/3 is the 144,000, which are the prophets. Okay, that's the elect. Okay, so if they're not already on the way, they will be shortly. And so, you know, that was certainly a fulfillment of which YouTube, social media, Instagram, TikTok, littered with examples of Joel 2, 27, 28, 29, and Acts 2, 17, 18, and 19, which is quoting Joel, the 2nd chapter. Okay, but let's go to that Joel, the 2nd chapter, because I'm going to show you another example of a whosoever that is not absolute. It ain't talking about you, unless you're of the nation of Israel. It's bounded by the context. It's bounded and limited to a certain set. So the whosoever only applies to that set, only applies to that context. It's not universal. It can be, but it's not. And you have to understand that. Otherwise, you're going to be talking about things that aren't true, false doctrines, and you're going to be teaching, preaching, and believing damnable heresies. Okay? But let's go down here and let me just show you that. And it's pretty clear in the verse, you should know. Okay? Because it tells you. And it shall come to pass that whosoever, bounded by context, not absolute, not universal, not Catholic, because that's what Catholic means, and that's a lie. They try to take our scriptures, our book, and apply it to everybody on the planet. Okay? It's only for the Israelites. It's written by us under the inspiration of the Holy Spirit, which means it's really the Most High's words, but he used us to write it, right? Under the inspiration of the Holy Spirit, for us and about us. You know? It's got some stuff in there about, it's got some stuff in there about you heathen too, right? But you ain't gonna like it. Okay? I mean, it'll be all right for you in the end, unless you're an Edomite. Okay? And it shall come to pass, but it'll be good for them too, because they'll be put out of their misery. They probably be ready to be put out of their misery when that time comes. And it shall come to pass that whosoever, bounded by context, bounded by the context, bounded by the line upon line, bounded by the precepts, bounded by the context. All right, limited to a certain set. Well, what set then? And it shall come to pass that whosoever shall call on the name of Yahweh shall be delivered. How is it limited? Well, it tells you right in the next phrase, for in Mount Zion. So that whosoever only applies to Zion, the nation of Israel. And in Jerusalem, Yerushalayim, shall be deliverance. Right, salvation and deliverance is only for Israel. So the whosoever is amongst Israel, as Yahweh has said, and in the remnant, which the remnant is all Israelites, whom Yahweh shall call. Right, and if you think you see anywhere else, anywhere in the scriptures, ye err, not knowing the scriptures. So now we go back over here, because here, this end of all, that all is also limited, bounded by context. That all, the end of all things pertaining to this kingdom, pertaining to this current world system. And when it says all, the end of all things, meaning pertaining to this current world system, this kingdom, this age that we're in right now, that really is all. That all within its context, bounded and limited. Once you get it within its context, then it's absolute, because it's going to be everything. And nothing about this world, nothing about this age, nothing about this current present kingdom is going to translate into the kingdom of heaven. The only thing going from this world into the kingdom of heaven is the elect. Everything else is going to be totally and radically either destroyed, subjugated, or refreshed and renewed. Everything else is going to be either destroyed, subjugated, refreshed, and or renewed. Okay? And again, I'm dealing with a heathen that wants to hang out. I'm going to try to drop back and lose them. Just bear with me a quick second. Bear with me a quick second. They should be passing me shortly, because I need to focus so that I can edify you freely and not be keeping an eye on any dumb, goofy heathen. That it's the same one. It's the same one. I knew it. As soon as I pass them, they're going to speed up. That's what they always do. All right. So hopefully they stay ahead of me this time. But the end of all things is at hand, meaning pertaining to this kingdom. Be ye therefore sober, get your mind right. We all got to do that. You got to get your mind right and keep your mind right. And watch. This is an act of watching. You're going to be watching, yes, but you're going to be occupied, busy, doing what we've been commanded to do. If we're the preachers and the teachers, then we got to preach and teach. We got to prophesy. All right, if you're a help, then you got to be busy helping, and you got to be busy getting the word, getting the preaching to build your faith up, which we all do that. All right. If you're a daughter of Zion, be a help, be an encouragement, be a help in whatever way you can. Okay, that's what you do. And if you don't have a husband and you're a daughter of Zion, then it's a good idea to find one. Find a man of the Lord. Find a hopeful elect man of the Lord and get one of them. That's a good idea. Isaiah 32:2 and Isaiah 13:12. Couple quick precepts for you. Oh, one more. Isaiah 4 and 1. Beat the rush. All right. So now, the end of all things is at hand. That watching to prayer. That watching is an act of watching. It's an act of watching. We all got to be busy and being occupied, watching while we work. Okay. A good metaphor for that, or a good, I can go to a metaphor similar to for that is when Nehemiah was during the time of Nehemiah, they were building the wall. And they had their sword on one side. I can't remember the particulars. You can read it, but they had their sword on one side, and then on the other side, with their other, they had their sword with them on their side while they were working building the wall. So what were they doing? They were watching while they were working, because if they needed to defend themselves, then they could do it. See, so and that's similar to what we do. That's similar to what we're doing here, because we're building a spiritual ark, which is this truth. Just like Noah did, Hebrews 11:7. Okay, we're building. And so you can bring that metaphor in, and we're watching. It's an active watching. Part of it is being circumspect, looking all around because the days are evil. Ephesians 5:16-17, and then I think that's it, or thereabouts. And then also we're busy doing what we're supposed to do, whether it's preaching, teaching, prophesying, proclaiming, or whether it's getting edified by that preaching and then being a help to the men of the Lord, or whether it's a daughter of Zion who's being a help, or she a help to her husband, and if she doesn't have a husband, then she's just being a help to the man of the Lord that she's learning from and seeking to get with a man of the Lord. Whatever it is, we're watching unto prayer, sober-minded, okay? Which means we're in the right spirit, given the times that we're in. Bring in 2 Peter 3:11, okay? Seeing then that all these things shall be dissolved, what manner of persons are ye to be in all holy conversation and godliness? See, that's sober-minded, okay? So, I mean, it's so much going on. It's so much in my mind, so much trying to get out, so much trying to get out of my mouth, but I only got one mouth, right? And I only got this limited window to do my lessons each day that I do them, right? So I don't know what we're supposed to be continuing where we left off last night, which is getting back into that Genesis, because we were reading, because see, let me just get straight to it, because I don't have a lot of time. Let me just get straight to it. You got, I played those first two clips just to show that the world is languishing. Might as well get this. Isaiah. I told you, man, it's getting harder and harder and harder. It's getting very difficult to do lessons because it's so much competing for the lesson time, and the lesson time is limited. The lesson time is not, I'm taking more time to do the lessons, but it's not because I have more time. I'm taking more time, but I don't have more time, but I take more time anyway. But even though I take more time, it's still more to get into it's grossly more to get into than I have time to get into. Isaiah 24. I almost started with this. Starting from 1, going on down to like 11, right there, right? But let's just get straight to it. Like I said, it's in the transit, and I don't know why these heathen love to drive behind me, man. They just love to drive behind me. Empty lane, just me and them, and they want to be behind me. Okay, fortunately, this is not one of the sticky ones that just wants to hang back. Let me just, goodness gracious. All right, anyway, I don't know what's wrong with these people. It's like they're afraid to, oh my goodness, man. Anyway, it's Salakia, but when they act so goofy with their driving, I have to pay attention to them, and it distracts me. Just bear with me a brief second. Okay, I'm trying to lose them, but this really goofy. Anyway, this precept I want to get. I want to make sure I get the one I really want to get, and of course, it's hard to find it while I'm going down the road. Let me just read a bit of this, and I'm sure I'm not seeing it because I'm keeping my eyes on the road. The new wine mourneth, the vine languisheth. Isaiah 24:7 on down. All the merry-hearted do sigh. You got a couple of examples of that. And when you were listening to them, you could tell from the context and what they were saying that it wasn't just them. They were speaking on a broad scale with a broad brush about the condition of life here in America, Babylon the Great, for the masses. Of course, some are still doing all right, but more and more and more and more every day are not. The mirth of tabrets ceaseth. The noise of them that rejoice endeth. And that first dude really brought that out well, okay? The joy of the harp ceaseth. They shall not drink wine with a song. Strong drink shall be bitter to them that drink it. The city of confusion is broken down. What is America? Babylon the Great. Actually, it's all one word. When you say America, say Babylon the Great. It's all one word. America, Babylon the Great. It's one word. The city of confusion. What does Babylon mean? Babal in the Hebrew is confusion. Confusion. Babal, Babylon, confusion. America is the city of confusion. Broken down. Every house is shut up that no man may come in. Yeah, and you know, we're looking for there to be another lock to the down real shortly, man. That's always hanging over the head of America, Babylon the Great, and other places in this world as well. There is a crying for wine in the streets. All joy is darkened. The mirth of the land is gone. The verse I'm looking for is up here. Okay? Yeah, that's why I didn't see it. There it is, verse 4. The earth mourneth and fadeth away. the world languisheth and fadeth away. The haughty people of the earth do languish. That's what you're seeing. And that's why I played those first two clips. Now, for clip number 4, the Cubans, that's the tribe of Manasseh. They're Israelites predominantly over there. That's Manasseh over there. The tribe of Manasseh, right? You had Ephraim and Manasseh, the sons of Joseph, right? 2 of the tribes, okay? And they're getting afflicted. And that's a reminder that Tazariah Aquab, Jacob's trouble, has already begun. Let's get a quick precept on that, okay? Tazariah Aquab's already underway. We've called it. And the Spirit had us start calling it individually, okay? I remember I called it. I was like, look, this is the beginning of Jacob's trouble. And that was like, I think it's been about a year now. That was when everything started to kick off with the Northern Kingdom getting rounded up and sent overseas to these out of state out of the country prisons and whatnot. I did a whole lesson series going into that. Okay, and that was a lot of bloodshed there, and that's what prompted me through the Spirit to call this if this ain't the beginning of Tazariah Aquab Jacob's trouble, I don't know what is. And then shortly after that, I hear others starting to call it, including Elder Apostle Tahar. And so through the Spirit, it's official. It's still low level right now, but low level is already causing bloodshed, and not a little. So imagine when it ramps all the way up. We already know from Yahweh's words, it's going to be like a time like no other. We're about to get it. Okay? Jeremiah 30, 5, 6, and 7. Let me see here. Let's get straight to the point. Alas, no. Let's set the stage. For thus saith Yahweh, we have heard a voice of trembling, of fear, and not of peace. Ask ye now, and see whether a man don't travail with child. Do men give birth? Why you ask me that, man? You know men don't give birth. Wherefore do I see every man with his hands on his loins? Why do I see every man bent over like he's in labor? As a woman in travail, and all faces are turned into paleness. Okay, alas, for that day is great, so that none is like it. It is even the time of Jacob's trouble, Tazariah Aquab, but he shall be saved out of it. And we know from Daniel 12:1, you got to get the precepts, man. Otherwise, you ain't going to understand. You can't understand anything in the scriptures off of one precept. You got to bring in the other precepts as well. So we know that it's only the Israelites whose names are written in the Lamb's Book of Life. Okay? And that's just going to be the elect, which is a very small remnant. Isaiah 1:9. Okay? And we got it into Joel 2. That's why it's called a remnant. It's not even a portion. It's a remnant. Okay, a remnant is a portion, but it's a very small portion. And over in Isaiah 1:9, it says that very small remnant. So of the very small portions, which that's what a remnant is, it's a very small portion. It's a very small remnant. Okay, a very small portion. You get the point of what I'm saying. It's not just a remnant. It's a small remnant. But wait a minute, it's not just a small remnant, which remnants are small from the beginning. It's a very extremely small, tiny remnant. So of all the small portions, it's a very, very tiny portion of Israelites. That's it. That's the elect. Okay? Those are the ones whose names are written in the Lamb's Book of Life. And that includes the 1/3. Okay? So now, what's going on over there, I want to touch on that briefly. Okay? And it's a great time to highlight 2 Ezra 8 and 50. Like I told you, man, so much competing for the screen time here, and competing for the mouth time as well. For many great miseries, extreme and severe miseries. That's what's being done all around the world in various places and pockets and spots, but it's growing. The places that are still kind of okay, they're tomorrow they won't be. The places that are already suffering, it's worse tomorrow. Okay? It's worse today than it was yesterday. Okay? The hardy people of the earth do languish. For many great, extreme and severe miseries shall be done to them. Shall be what to them? Done. Not happen. Not, oh, this is an unfortunate turn of events. Oh, I'm losing the phrase here. I feel like Ultron. The word escapes me. I lost the word, it's not just an unfortunate event or an unfortunate circumstance. No, it's actually intentionally being done. These things that are taking place on planet Earth are being done on purpose. That's the only way it would happen like this. It would not happen on its own. There has to be someone to drive it. And there is. Proverbs. This is why this is why we're in Genesis, but we're not going to get back there today because there's so much going on that it's hard to stay on a game plan or a script for a lesson. In other words, this is what I'm going to go here, then I'm going to go there, then I'm going to go there, then I'm going to go here. There's always some leeway because the spirits like to win, but basically for the most part, enough, more or less, I stay on track and I get through and I kind of march through the lesson series, right? That ain't happening these days. Okay, I always go all over the place, but generally, I come back after a while. It's hard to do that these days. Proverbs 16:4, and that's beautiful. Yahweh hath made all things for himself, yea, even the wicked. There is a man, Esau, on the planet Edom, who is the wicked, and he is created for the day of evil. We are in the evil day right now. That day is a metaphoric day, which is a period of time. If you want to make it literal, well, that would be the day of Yahweh, right? Because Esau, Edom's the man that's marching this world to this world to the culmination, because it's already here. Revelation 9:12, Revelation 11:14, it's already here, but it's building up though. It ain't wrapped all the way up, because when it ramps all the way up, that's the culmination. And Esau, Edom is the man that's driving this world to the culmination of the Third World War, which has already begun, wrapping up by today, and it's going to end in all-out thermonuclear war. So if you want to make it a literal day, that would be the day. But this is really, first and foremost, talking about a metaphoric day, a period of time. We're in it. And he is made to do the wickedness that he's doing that right now, to intentionally drive this earth and this planet into the dirt. Okay? Metaphorically speaking, meaning cause all manner of suffering, pain, misery, death, bloodshed. That's his job. He's made to do it, and he's a good devil. He's a great devil. Okay? And what's going on over there in Cuba right now is an example of that. He's intentionally doing it, and this is one of the times where it's easy to see it. But more and more these days, it's easy to see because he's running to the finish line. So he's kind of like casting off the cloak somewhat. So it's easy to see a lot more these days than it has been in times past, that he's intentionally doing all this wickedness on the earth. It's being done intentionally. What? All of it. All of it. This is his job. He's the rider on the red horse. We got that last night. Okay? He's the wicked, the border of wickedness. We got that last night as well, and multiple times. Okay? He's created for this. He's the violent and bloody man. He's the hypocrite. Okay? Their forefather's name actually means spear. Okay? I know you don't know what I'm talking about. Watch the whole lesson series. Okay? I can't get into everything every night. All right, let me see. Okay? He's made the wicked for the day of evil. See, he's all these things are being done on purpose. And this right here is easy to see it. What was I getting before? Did I finish that? I don't know. Let me see. Where was I? Yes. No, I didn't finish this. For many great miseries shall be done. Somebody's doing them. It's the wicked. The Caucasians coming down from the Caucasus Mountains, getting into Revelation 20. Man, I could get into that and not get out. All right? I can get into that and not get out and then go a bunch of different places that I wasn't planning to go to. Okay, I'm going to try to stay out of that right for now. Subject to spirit. Okay, he's doing them. Everything that's being done on the planet is being done intentionally on purpose by the biblical Edomites, who are the physical counterpart of the spiritual demon Satan. They actually worship and serve Satan. Okay, even the ones that don't know it, they do. But the elites, okay, that run the world, they I don't want to say openly necessarily, but yeah, they admit it. But what I meant to say is they know that they worship Satan. They actually literally worship Satan. Okay, is that so hard to believe these days with all these things coming out? You know, you got the Berenstain Files, and they will admit that they serve Satan, including the booze over there in our land. Trying to still hold on to the very, very it's just I'm trying to figure out the right adjective. The very, very hard to believe lie that they're the true people of the book. And a lot of the world knows they're not, but they still holding on to it anyway. The emperor has no clothes. Hey, your ass is showing. Okay, I don't give a fuck. I'm gonna keep walking around anyway. Yeah, everybody paying attention knows they're not the true Israelites. Okay, and if you ask them, ask the right ones, ask the scholars, they'll tell you they're not. They put it in their scholarship. Okay, so I'm getting distracted. They're the ones doing all these things. Okay, the Edomites, the so-called white man, generally speaking, the bloodline descendants of Esau, they're the ones. They're the guilty ones. They're the wicked. They're made to do what they're doing. Somebody's got to drive it, or it wouldn't be happening. Okay, it would not be happening. These things are all being done on purpose, and with this what's going on to the tribe of Manasseh, that makes it easy to see. It also makes a couple of other things easy to see. It makes it easy to see that this man is a hypocrite. Because what is he doing over there to the Cubans? He's blockading them, causing all manner of suffering and famine and disease and death. Well, we just want y'all to rise up against your government. We're doing this for your benefit. You know, if your government will just do what we want them to do and follow our instructions, well then you wouldn't be getting this suffering. So why don't you go ahead and do that? Because we don't want you to suffer. Why don't you go ahead and rise up against your government and then we'll it's your government's fault. What I'm saying is, what a hypocrite, man. You're going to cause all this pain and suffering to strong arm another government to do what you want them to do, and you're telling them, hey, look, either do what we want you to do, or else we're going to keep killing your people. All right, we're going to keep killing your people, causing all manner of suffering and pain and misery in your country until you do what we want you to do. So why don't you do what we want you to do, so we can stop killing your people and blaming you for it? Because that's what they do. America, Babylon the Great, is causing all this pain, suffering, and death and misery, and they blaming the government of the other people for it. And then they say, well, we ain't gonna stop doing it until you do what we say to do, and we're gonna keep blaming you for it, even though we're doing it. Oh, and by the way, hey China, Moab, listen up, China, don't you be doing no blockades now here. Okay, we're the only ones can do. Ain't nobody blockading nobody but us. See, this is the hypocrisy. Hey, on multiple levels. We gonna cause pain, suffering, and death and misery in your country. Blame you for it. Hypocrisy. And then we're gonna turn around to the people of your country and say, hey, look, hey, y'all rise up. You know, this oppressive government. Look at all this pain and suffering they causing you. Why don't you rise up against them so this pain and suffering can stop? Okay? You're bad government. You need to rise up against your government. So it's their fault that this is all happening. More hypocrisy. Oh, and China, don't you be doing no blockades now. Okay? You do a blockade, it's gonna be on now. See, more hypocrisy. This man is a hypocrite. Salakia, my bad. This man is the hypocrite. That's a difference. Okay? It highlights that. But and we all know it just happened in Venezuela. This is just the latest in a long line, man. Latest in a long. Hey, this is nothing new. This is standard operating procedure for the Edomites, especially America, Babylon the Great. And that's the other thing that it makes very plain and clear to see, is that America, Babylon the Great is running this world. Okay, the Edomites are actually running this world through America, Babylon the Great. Okay, it makes it very easy to see that. We just saw what happened with Venezuela. We see that Trump's threatening Greenland. Trump's always bossing around the rest of the Edomite nations over there in the EU. Okay, because America, Babylon the Great, is the whore that sits or rides upon the beast. Okay, they call it the U.S.-led NATO. All right, and now they blockading Cuba, causing all that pain, suffering, misery, death, and disease and whatnot, and famine. Okay, telling Russia, never mind what they just did to Venezuela, but telling Russia that Russia's wrong for handling this business. Okay, which we don't give a fuck about Russia either, because Russia's Edomites too, right? But telling Russia, more hypocrisy though, telling Russia they're wrong for handling their business, telling China, which is the Moabites, that they can't handle their business. See, all up in everybody's business. Everybody's business. Okay? All up in Iran's business, getting ready. Oh, the military buildup over in Western Asia, over in the Persian Gulf, over in the Valley of Yehoshaphat, because that's what it is, bounded on the east by the Persian Gulf, fed by the Euphrates River, which is dried up pursuant to Revelation 16 chapter. Bounded on the west by the Red Sea, that's the Persian Gulf. That's the Valley of Yehoshaphat. The military buildup of America, Babylon the Great over there is immense. Okay, in accordance with Joel 2:20. I told you it's so much competing for the mouth time. Okay, I can't. It's so much to say, not enough time to say it all. So much to put on the screen, not enough time to put it on the screen. The Most High is making good on his word, which of course he does, because he's not a man that he should lie. Okay, speeding up the time, for the sake of the elect, lest no flesh should be saved. Okay, so it highlights the hypocrisy. It highlights that America, Babylon the Great, is running this world, the hammer of the earth. Okay, Jeremiah, I forget, either 49 or 50, or maybe 51. Okay, one of those three chapters. And it also highlights something else, but it's escaping me right now because I can't remember everything. All right, so but I'm gonna show you a precept on this on how it I'm gonna get you a precept on how it highlights that America is running the world. Okay, I didn't mean to get that. Revelation the 17th chapter. Did I finish? I don't think I finished the Jeremiah. Let me finish that Jeremiah. Did I finish it? Okay. Yeah, I did. Okay. Revelation 17. Okay? You see here, and there came one of the seven angels, which had the seven vials, and talked with me, saying unto me, come hither. And I'm going to have to take a break. Long and windy road at night in the dark. It'll be very brief for you, but I'm going to pause it, and in about 1 second for you, I'll resume it once I'm pulled over on the side of the road, and I'll finish this precept, and I'll get a few on the return of Yahushua HaMashiach in accordance with that dream and vision, and then we're going to wrap it for tonight. Yahweh Ratazah is edifying. All right, so I pulled over. Let's get this Revelation 17, and again, this is to highlight that America, Babylon the Great, is running the world, okay? And it's really the Edomites running the world, and more specifically, the wicked elite, the elite of Esau, Edom, right? But they're using America, the military might of America, Babylon the Great, because this is actually an empire. The worldwide, this is actually the revived Roman Empire all over again, Revelation 13, okay? All right, and Rome 2.0 is America, Babylon the Great. That's the capital city. But this time, the empire is worldwide, whereas in the ancient Roman Empire, it wasn't worldwide. Now it is, okay? And America is running the world. The elites are, okay, Esau, Edom, specifically the elites of Esau, Edom, are running the world using the military might of America, Babylon the Great. Financial center, and that's through D.C. Financial center, the United Kingdom, okay? And, you know, you got military, you got financial / political, because a lot of the policy is also coming out of UK as well, okay? But you have DC, you got the military might, okay, and then you got the UK, financial / political, you know, and then you got the religious, which would be the false prophet in the Vatican, and that's your 3 unclean spirits like frogs. Okay, so now, and there came one of the 7 angels which had the 7 vials, and talked with me, saying unto me, Come hither, I will show unto thee the judgment of the great whore that sitteth upon many waters. What are these waters? You know, they're like puddles and ponds and no, man. Okay, you go down here, the whore is America, Babylon the Great. You go down here, and it tells you here, and the woman which thou sawest is that great city. City, going back to the Latin word civitas, which means city in Latin. Civitas, you get city, tying also into citizen. Citizen meaning an inhabitant or dweller of a city. That's what the word literally means. An inhabitant or dweller of a city. Tying into the word city, which is coming from the Latin word civitas, right? So when you say you're a citizen of America, Babylon the Great, you are actually saying you are actually saying that you are an inhabitant or a dweller in the city of America. And that would be an accurate statement, because cities are not limited in size. That's the way it's used in the English today, but cities are as large or as small as their population. That's the way the word, that's the actual correct use of the word city. Okay, today we bound it. If it's too small, we don't call it a city. Too big, we don't call it a city. But that's not how the word is accurately intended to be used originally. Okay, a city is as big or as small as its population. And when you say you're a citizen of America, Babylon the Great, you're actually saying you're an inhabitant of the city of America. And that's correct. This great city is America. And the woman which thou sawest is that great city, America, Babylon the Great, which reigneth over the kings of the earth. And I also got to get you this here. Where is that? I missed it. Here, 15, yeah. And he saith unto me, the waters which thou sawest, where the whore sitteth, are peoples and multitudes and nations and tongues. They're not actually, the waters is a metaphor for the peoples of the earth. So this whore that's sitting upon the waters is sitting upon the peoples of the earth, meaning she's reigning over them. And that's why she can just bust up in Venezuela and do what she want, and nobody says anything. Well, now they're getting ready to do something. Russia and China are joining up to be a defense against America coming into Iran for Israel, the Israelis. Okay? But up until this point, they've just been doing whatever they want. Now they're getting put on notice that the time, Moab put Esau on notice that the time of them just unilaterally going into any country that they want and doing whatever they want to do and taking over and raping, robbing, and pillaging, that time has come to an end. Why did they need to be put on notice for that? Because that's what they've always done. And why have they always done it? And he saith unto me, the waters which thou sawest, where the whore sitteth, are peoples and multitudes and nations and tongues, because she's running the world. That's why. This is talking about America, Babylon the Great. And it's easy to see that with what America is doing to Cuba, what they did to Venezuela. But look, the list goes on and on and on, because they've always done that. You see? And this is highlighted. So the hypocrisy is highlighted, and the fact that they're running the show on planet Earth is also highlighted, and other things too. But I'm short on time. I'm getting ready to wrap this up, and I can't remember it anyway. It's so much to remember, right? So then we got that last clip, which I'm going to play that one again. I almost played that one that flashed up on the screen. I played that one last night. I almost played it again tonight.
Right, guys.
That one.
I don't know if I can do this short or not. I just went through an experience with the Lord, and I'm still. And
your old man shall dream dreams, right? Pour out my spirit upon all flesh. This is an end time prophecy starting back during the time of the apostles in the book of Acts, but now it's back again, being fulfilled again here in the last days, and it's getting fulfilled now to a much greater degree. And when it says all flesh, that includes heathen. And when it says they're going to prophesy, it just simply means they're going to tell their dream or vision. And when they tell their dream or vision, since it's from the Most High, they're going to be saying what's going to happen before it happens, whether they realize it or not. But a lot of times they feel like, man, that felt so real. They don't understand it. They may not even necessarily believe it's going to happen, but a lot of the times they feel like, man, I feel like this is something that's coming, because it doesn't mean they're a prophet, and it doesn't mean they're an Israelite, and it doesn't mean they're going to get deliverance. It doesn't mean any of that. It just means the Most High chose them to have this dream and vision, and then to put it out there. That's all it means. That's why the Most High says he's going to pour out his spirit upon all flesh. That's all. Israelites and heathen. I mean, once you get in the nation of Israel, those that are going to get deliverance and those that are not getting deliverance. Everybody. Not everybody literally, but it's going to be randomly everybody. Okay, as the Father decides. And this one here, this old man here, although he could be an Israelite, he looks like an Edomite. We don't know, right? But let's go with him being an Edomite. Your old men shall dream dreams. And here's an old man having his dream.
Lord or not, I just went through an experience with the Lord, and I'm still in the process of it. I just saw God standing before his throne. He extended his right arm, and in it he had a sword in his hand, and he lifted the sword and he drew it back and pointed it again, and when he did, thousands and thousands of angels came forth. He drew it back and pointed it one more time, and a portal appeared. As the angels all went through that portal headed for earth. That's all I can tell you for right now.
And that's sufficient. And that's sufficient. Because it does say this in the Apocrypha. Oh, I was going to get into that, but that's all right. We covered enough on what's going on over in Cuba. We covered that enough. I'll get rid of that. Where's it? Here it is. So I'm getting ready to try to land this ship. Goodness gracious. All right. Salakia for the flipping, but I'm going to have to do it otherwise because I don't have this address memorized, so I'm going to have to search for it. Salakia for the flipping. Oh, goodness gracious. Come on now. There it is. 2 Ezra 13 and 31. Let's bring it up like that. And okay. Look at it. Let's get 29, 30, and 31. Behold, the days come when the Most High will begin to deliver them that are upon the earth. Right? And the Most High isn't doing it himself. He's delivering us by sending us a deliverer, which is his only begotten son, Yahweh Shah HaMashiach. And he shall come to the astonishment of them that dwell on the earth. And one shall undertake to fight against another, one city against another, one place against another, one people against another, and one realm against another. The spiritual realm, Yahweh Shai, along with Michael, the archangel, and the host of heaven, against another. Esau and his angels. Revelation, the 12th chapter. That's the true war in heaven, which hasn't taken place yet. And the heaven is talking about is the atmosphere. Okay? Including low Earth orbit. What people don't realize is that Earth's orbit actually goes up for thousands of miles. Just Google it real quick. The air is very, 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 very thin up there. So it's pretty much like being in outer space, but it's still the orbit of the Earth. It's still the atmosphere of the Earth. Okay, all the satellites, they're well within Earth's orbit. Earth's atmosphere. Earth's atmosphere actually goes up thousands of miles. I want to say like 5,000 or 6,000, something like that. Depending on some estimates, it might even be more, but like 5,000 to 6,000 kilometers or miles. I forget which one it is. Earth's atmosphere goes up for thousands of miles / kilometers. Okay. It's just that when you get up there really high like that, it's very, very, very thin. In a lot of ways, it's like being in outer space, but it's not because the atmosphere is still there. It's just very thin. Okay. Especially once you get past like the first few hundred miles. Okay. Once you get past like the first few hundred miles, it's, you know, it's so thin up there, and but it continues for thousands of miles. You got to get out like 7, 8,000, 9, 10,000 miles away from the earth before you're actually technically in outer space, because the atmosphere is no longer there. The atmosphere, it goes up. So that's where the war is going to be fought. Not that high up, but in low Earth. That's why they call it low Earth orbit, right? It's going to be in low Earth orbit, okay? High up there, but only like maybe, who knows, you know? He's, you know, he might get to, I don't know. I'm just going to throw a number out. He might get up like 100 miles off above the surface of the earth. You know, maybe even not that high. It's going to be fought up in the upper atmosphere. You know, I don't want to say upper atmosphere because that would be up in the thousands, right? It's going to be fought up. You know, I'm not, you know, he can't go that far up, right? He can't go up in the thousands and fight up there, right? It's going to be fought high up, you know, however high the Air Force can, not the Air Force, the Space Force can get, because that's what the Space Force is created for. Okay, however high up they can get and fight, that's where it's going to be fought. But he also has his satellite weapons too. Okay, but that's Revelation 12. One realm against another, the spiritual realm against the physical realm. And as it is written, the chariots and the horses of Egypt are but flesh. Okay, so now let's get over here. Revelation 1 and 7. Get ready to wrap up. Behold, he cometh with clouds. That's the chariots, Marakabium, the vehicles of the spiritual realm. Yahushua is coming in back in a massive, massive chariot, Marakab, the size of a mountain. It's mistaken as a mountain. It's going to block out the sky. That's where they get the concept. That's where they get the imagery, the idea or the concept for the imagery in Independence Day from. Okay, when you got that massive UFO that as it comes across the sky, it blocks the sky out completely. They got that from 2nd Ezra 13. Okay, these clouds is a metaphor for the chariots of the spiritual realm, and which chariots means vehicles. And every eye shall see him. There goes your secret rapture. Flush it. And they also which pierced him. Yeah, so the ones that pierced him, the Roman soldiers that crucified him, they're going to see him too. Reincarnation. And all kindreds of the earth shall wail because of him. All right? What happened? Why are you wailing, man? Isn't this Jesus? And doesn't he love everybody? Isn't he coming back to save everybody? No to all of them. Even so, Amen. Revelation 19. We're just going to touch on it real quick. Okay? And I saw heaven opened, right? Yeah, a portal, man. That's what it sounds like to me. And behold, a white, meaning that white, this is metaphoric. The white and the horse are metaphoric. It's not a literal horse. He's not coming back on Pegasus, man. Okay? The white represents purity and righteousness, and a horse is a metaphor for the chariots, the vehicles of the spiritual realm, which are powerful. Horses represent power, right? A white horse. White, holy, righteous, pure. Didn't he say something about that? I thought he did.
All right, guys.
Come on now.
I don't know if I can do this short or not. I just went through an experience with the Lord, and I'm still in the process of it. I just saw God standing before his throne. He extended his right arm, and in it he had a sword in his hand, and he lifted the sword, and he drew it back and pointed it again, and when he did, thousands and thousands of angels came forth. He drew it back and pointed it one more time, and a portal appeared. As the angels all went through that portal headed for Earth, that's all I can tell you for right now. I don't know if I can do this.
Yeah, I'm not sure what I was thinking about that. But yeah, that's what that portal opening up, it sounds like, and I saw heaven opened. And behold, a white horse, and he that sat upon him, meaning piloting the chariot, was called Faithful and True. That's Yahushua. And in righteousness he doth judge and make war. Right? Malak Tazadak, King of Righteousness. And he's coming back to wage war against the heathen. Okay? The 110th Psalm. Isaiah 63. Okay, 2nd Ezra 13, start at verse 1, go on all the way on down. All right. And along with that, he's coming to deliver the elect. We'll wrap up on that. His eyes were as a flame of fire, tying into Revelation 1, and on his head were many crowns, meaning he's taking down the heathen nations. And when he takes them down, he's ruling there now. And he had a name written, which he rules there anyway, but they're not acknowledging it yet. When he takes them down, everybody's going to know. And he had a name written, meaning a title or a rank, not an actual name, that no man knew but he himself. And he was clothed with a vesture dipped in blood, meaning he's coming back to fill the places with the dead bodies, just like it says in the 110th Psalm. All right. And his name is called the Word of God, Yahweh Shah HaMashiach, right? The only begotten Son. And the armies, the angels in heaven, the hosts of heaven, which were in heaven, followed him upon white horses. Let's get this word for followed. Just curious. To follow one who precedes, join him as his attendant, accompany him. Right? So there you go. That's the angels that the man was talking about in his vision there. Okay? Maybe Yahweh Shah already been dispatched and they was told to follow. Hurry up, catch him, catch up. I'm just saying here, just speaking. Okay? And the armies which were in heaven followed him upon white horses. Yeah, they're gonna be in chariots as well, clothed in fine linen, white and clean. That's where I was getting it from. And out of his mouth goeth a sharp sword, that with it he should smite the nations. That's why they're going to howl. And he shall rule them with a rod of iron, 2nd Psalm. All right, Revelation 2:26 and 27. And he treadeth the winepress of the fierceness and wrath of Almighty God, Almighty power. Revelation 14 and Joel 3. And he hath on his vesture and on his thigh a name written, Malak Shal Malakim and Adawan Shal Adawanyim. Okay, King of Kings and Lord of Lords, right? Let's go to, we're going to wrap it up here. Matthew 24. 29, 30, and 31. Yeah, 29. And let's get straight to the point. And then shall appear the sign of the Son of Man in heaven. Okay, and then shall all the tribes of the earth mourn. And wouldn't that be something to see the portal open up? And they shall see the Son of Man coming in the clouds, the chariots. Okay, 104th Psalm in the 3rd verse, of heaven with power. If you want any idea of the power, you're not going to get a good at, but if you want a little bit of an inkling of the power, 2nd Ezra 13, start at verse 1. And great glory. And he shall send his angels, right? That's the host of heaven. Okay, the angels that the old man was seeing in his vision, with a great sound of a trumpet. And they shall gather together his elect, right? Because they're not just coming to wage war. They're also coming to deliver the elect. And they shall gather together his elect from the four winds, east, north, south, and west. That's what it's talking about. From one end of heaven to the other. All of the elect delivered. Wherever the thermonuclear destruction is going to touch. Because the thermonuclear destruction is simultaneous with the return of Yahweh Shai along with the hosts of heaven. Whew. So much. We're at the end. All the prophecies are being crammed in and fulfilled in their totality right now. Okay, they're not all done yet, but that's where we're at. All the prophecies are front and center and passing and being fulfilled right now, passing before our eyes. All the prophecies are being fulfilled right now. We interrupt this program due to end time biblical prophecies and the end of the world. And so with that, I'm going to go ahead and wrap this up. Before I do, I want to give all glory, honor, and praises to Yahweh, Bahashim, Yahweh Shabbat, Recha HaKodash. Double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone. Much peace, love, and respect to the brothers teaching and pushing this truth out the four corners of the earth. To Adawan Radazah, this lesson was edifying and encouraging to you, Achim, and any Achwaf that may be listening and or watching. Ayashmi Akwana, Azanyam Lashamai. Let him who has ears to hear. Kwam Yasharala. Baba Kosha Abad Baba Aitha Wakal Adawam. Shalom Lahabachayim. Peace to the elect. Shalom.